What is up, guys? We are live. Welcome to the Bag Searches podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ginn. And in today's video, this is an exciting one, guys. We have Doug Aguilar from Houston, Texas. Doug is 21 years old, and he's going to show you how he makes over 6 figures a year in real estate wholesaling. He's doing $50,000 months. Like, he's doing insane deals, and he's just crushing it. I've been talking to him for a little bit, and his growth has just been absolutely amazing. And through the power of cold calling, he is absolutely crushing it in Houston. So, Doug, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on.
Sweet, man. So let's get this out of the bat. I mean, how did you get started in wholesaling real estate?
YouTube. That's it. I didn't have any mentors or coaches or anything like that. So I just started researching YouTube videos. That's pretty much how I started. I just took action.
Okay. So how old were you when you started?
When I started, I was about to turn 20. I was like 19-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, kind of a year and a half. Yeah. I just turned 21 in December.
Wow. I mean, what was your life like before you started wholesaling?
Oh man, I was doing construction. I probably made like $6,000 doing construction when I was 19, that whole year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's break this down because you're being very humble right now. I mean, your business is absolutely amazing. So can you break down the first process of you not doing the construction, starting to get your first deal, kind of how you put the pieces together, how you marketed the deal, how you got it, like the full thing?
Yeah, I mean, so that my very first deal, it was October, I guess that's 2019, somewhere in that time. So that deal I was pretty lucky. I was doing research, wholesaling. So what we did is I went through on the county website. I was just looking up tax delinquents, and we called a list. And within that week of calling that list, we got a deal. It was a really small deal, but we still got it. And then so I got that under contract. I just threw it on Facebook to find a cash buyer, and I made a $1,300 assignment fee. So it was just cold calling and then throwing it on Facebook.
Okay. And what was your cold calling script you did to get that deal?
I was kind of making my own. I was just watching various different YouTube guys, just taking pieces from each guy and kind of made my own. That script it sucked though, looking back at the one I use now. But that's pretty much how I made my script. I didn't pay for a script or anything like that. I just made my own from YouTube videos.
Wow. So did you pay for like any mentorship at all?
No, not when I started. No. In July of 2020, that's when I joined Brent Daniels' group.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And so when you started out, you got that $1,300 check. What did you do to kind of scale that up?
Well, man, I didn't have a car, so I bought a car with that $1,300. I bought a car, and then I used PropStream, the 7-day trial, and I pulled a list, a pre-foreclosure list. And I got a deal from that list. That's what made me scale up. And I made $16K off that deal.
Woo, jeez.
Yeah, that was my second one.
I mean,
and that was in like February of 2020.
Wow. Holy moly. I mean, the one thing I do have to say is, I mean, you were 19 getting that first deal, you're getting other deals at 20. I mean, you're going to have a lot of young people saying, I mean, I'm young too, but yeah. How did you get a deal at your age? I mean, why would a seller take you seriously? I mean, obviously you didn't have the money to buy the house. I mean, what would you say to those people who think that you can't get a deal or you're just too young to be doing deals like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just it's confidence, really just, I mean, not caring. I mean, you either do it or you die pretty much. You either get it done or you don't, or you stay where you're at. So that's pretty much what I just jumped into it. I didn't care what people were saying. Yeah, I got a lot of sellers that are like, oh, you can't buy my house, blah, blah, blah. But I just kept going. And then even my first deal, the seller, she told me I looked like I was 15 or 13. I can't remember which one she said. but then when we were at closing, I was there with them and they took it serious.
Yeah.
So I just took that confidence and brought it over to the next deal.
Okay. And so what would you tell someone if they're trying to start this and, they're very nervous when they're meeting their first seller or something? I mean, what are some confidence tips you can give them?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, it's tough because I was really nervous, but man, I just really just suck it up. If you want to get it done, just suck it up. That's okay. I mean, I still get nervous on deals sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I was really nervous back then, but there's really nothing you can do besides pushing through it. I mean, if you don't get through it, then you're not going to get anything done.
Definitely. I mean, the next part here is, I mean, you did scale up. You did 1,300 checks, 16,000. I mean, how did you start getting to the point where you're doing the deals you're doing now? Because they're getting pretty impressive.
Yeah, just I guess knowing my market more, knowing like where the sweet spots are at, knowing how to find them compared to the other guys that are doing, 7 figures a year, every year for a while now. Just getting the deals that those guys aren't getting, just stuff like that. Just finding a niche. I think if you really want to do really good coming on new, especially in a crazy market like this, you have to find a niche.
Okay. And I mean, you're in Houston, which is just such a huge market. It's the 3rd biggest city in the country. I mean, everyone's cold calling. So how are you becoming successful over other people? I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but again, I mean, it's really just I've done a lot of like coaching myself, just training as far as like sales goes, being able to talk to sellers compared to new guys coming in. Just being more personal with sellers, building a lot more rapport. That's a big thing that's really helped, and compared to guys just throwing out offers, stuff like that. Or like a huge operation where you're passing the phone to different, acquisitions guys, your cold callers, and then, the closers, just getting personal with them, making them seem like, it's just me, I'm a local guy. That's how I had a lot of success.
Wow. Okay. And how are you building rapport there in Houston?
It depends what kind of seller it is.
Okay.
I mean, if it's like an older seller, and I'd go meet them, and I'd just talk about the families, talk about their dogs or something, just stuff like that. Especially I like going on appointments, so I can pick stuff from their houses, just stuff like that. And if it's a younger seller, of course, I mean, it's easier to kind of build rapport that way, just because they're more of our age. But it really it depends. Especially the biggest thing I would say is tone. With the older seller, you want to drop your tone down, be soft spoken. Compared to like a younger seller where you can use slang, crack jokes, stuff like that.
Okay. And so obviously you're getting pretty good at the sales process, the marketing. I mean, let's bring it back to cold calling here. So how are you actually right now finding these lists? Like, what are some of the top lists that you're doing right now, and how are you skip tracing them?
Well, I get a lot of referrals, just from other wholesalers or even previous sellers that I've talked to, stuff like that. Also driving for dollars, and then some other lists like pre-foreclosures, tax delinquent, stuff like that. Just the typical thing that you hear. I'm not doing anything different. And skip tracing, I hand skip trace. I don't put them through a whatever you call it, a batch.
Yeah.
I'll use batch like single surge. And I'll skip trace and hand dial. I haven't used a dialer in forever, like a year or so.
Wow. Is there a reason why you're doing that versus like a triple line dialer or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, because even though I'm not hitting as many contacts, I'm able to get in touch with more people. Even though I'm not going through, so many leads, I'm able to get in touch with more people. Kind of just because I'm able to go one by one. So if one number doesn't work, I go to a different number. I call every single number, trying to get in touch with them.
Okay. Interesting here. So what website are you using for the hand skip tracing then?
I use a lot of True People Search or Batch.
Yeah. I mean, True People Search, like,
yeah, it's good.
Dude, I can tell everyone, like, I'll drive by, I see a random house, like on the way from like just one deal to the other. I'll True People Search it. Pops up almost all the time. And I'll ask just to make sure. I'll be like, hey, is this John Smith? Are you the owner of 123? Yes, I am. Yeah. I don't know how they're pulling it because I know batch does credit, but like True People Search is, if they found a way to batch it, that's all I would use. I just don't. I've spent hours trying to figure that out, but that service is an absolute must.
Yeah, everybody's trying to find the best skip tracing service, and True People Search is free, and it's I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
So in your operation right now, I mean, how many hours are you like dedicating to wholesaling? Like how many are you doing for the marketing, cold calling wise, the driving, the acquisitions process, the dispo? Like what is that all looking like right now?
I mean, not as much as I should. I mean, I should be going 24/7. I mean, I do it full time, but I'll cold calling for maybe 3 or 4 hours a day doing hand dial, and then I'll maybe go on an appointment or sell the deal. I mean, selling a deal doesn't take me. I don't really do anything as that part. But yeah, most of my time is just going towards generating leads and closing leads.
Okay. Do you like have a set schedule for the cold calling?
No.
Okay.
No.
For example, last week on like a Tuesday, like, do you know what time you're usually doing it? Is this like an evening thing, a morning thing?
No, it's if I'm cold calling, it's pretty much all day.
Nice.
So a lot of times it's from like early afternoon to night, like 8 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Okay. And the one thing I can tell you is I've had my fair share of cold calling back in the day, and I still cold call, I think every week on this channel here for people. But I mean, I've cold called 5 hours a day, like for a week straight for a year, almost 18 months. So I know how tough cold calling can get. I know it. I mean, what pushes you after like the second or third hour of just no's, F you, all the just annoying things out there? I mean, what pushes you to keep going?
Before, because right now I'm like, I mean, you too. I mean, we're numb to it. It just rolls off our back. When people say that, I laugh or I'll mess with them a little bit. But before then, it's like I guess it's how bad do I want to become successful. I mean, there's really nothing else to it. I mean, you can get discouraged, blah blah blah. But I guess it's really just how bad do you want it. That's what kept me going, even though I would have people curse me out back then. And it was tough. Like I say back then, but like a year ago or so. I mean, it was tough trying to keep calling when everybody else is calling the same list. But then, it's just that hey, maybe my next call is going to be that deal. And that's the approach that I would do. And the next call, it would be a deal. You just get lucky, and it's that super hot lead that the seller's just like, come to my house right now.
Man, I'm telling you, like you make it seem like it's simple, like with sellers like that, like a good cold calling deal. But every cold calling deal I've had has been like, yeah, sure, come by. I want to sell because of this. I'm like, this is weird. And then like it's if you didn't like do a cold calling deal and like you hear this, you might think it's weird, but it's 100% true. So back to the cold calling part. So you're doing 3 to 4 hours here. I mean, you're doing the hand dialing. you're kind of pushing through. I mean, when you were starting out, what was your why to keep going? Because obviously now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know a deal is coming. I mean, what was your why starting out?
Yeah, I just want to be very successful and as successful as possible, and be able to have a successful family for, I mean, like future kids or family.
Okay,
That's
good reason.
that's my thing. big, I like a big family guy.
Yeah, me too. 100% agree there. So you're cold calling through. I mean, what does your process look like when you're talking to someone cold calling? Because if you and me are talking, it's pretty easy for us, but like we want to break down for someone who's newer here. So what's the script you're kind of using? Don't give out the secret sauce here, but like what's the general thing you're asking or looking for in a cold call to see if this is worth you actually go visiting them?
Okay, yeah. So that's something I think I'm pretty good at, as far as not wasting time on bad leads. So I go straight when I open the call. It's, I mean, are you interested in selling it? And if it's a yes, then I ask them why. I don't go down questions of, oh, give me conditions, stuff like that. I go straight into rapport, like motivation. Why are you looking to sell? Have you thought about selling before, prior to me calling? And if it's a yes, then there's something there. If it's a no, then they're trying to win a lottery ticket. So that's how I do it. I use a script as far as for structure to know what questions to ask, when to get to them. But my main thing is trying to find their motivation and building rapport. Like I'll speak to them about rapport for 20 minutes before I go into condition, stuff like that, because I can find all that online.
That's pretty true. And what are some triggers that you find when talking to a seller that's like, hey, I got to cut this out, on to the next one?
If they don't want to give me a number, or at least I mean, you can tell if a seller's just fishing for offers. If they want you to give them an offer so they can go mark it up and have someone bid $1,000 more. Stuff like that. Or, if they don't want to give you any information, like, oh, that's personal, then I don't really mess with it,
Yeah. Okay. And is there like a CRM you're using? Like, how are you sifting through these leads once you know it's a pretty good one?
Yeah, I use Podio.
Okay.
I use Podio, and then when I follow up, I'll just throw it on a Google Calendar. Just mark my follow-ups that way.
Perfect. I live off my Google Calendar, so yes,
yeah.
I agree. I mean, that part of the structure is like super important. I get a notification on my phone. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So the next part here is, what are your KPIs looking like? Do you keep track of them?
Yeah, I'm starting to. Since last time we were speaking, yeah, I'm starting to track them now. I really haven't been. I mean, I know roughly my average deal for assignment fee, but now I'm starting to keep track of like leads or contacts to leads and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm starting to keep track of it. I'm still trying to get everything figured out.
When you figure it out, you're gonna be the top guy. I'm excited.
Oh man.
So how many calls do you think roughly here? Because I mean, there's no exact science to this, to cold calling, but like how many calls, or like how much cold calling do you have to do before you get a deal?
Oh man, it's pretty low. Probably I would say 20 good leads to get a deal.
Okay. And what about the call wise? Like, so how many calls and like hours do you think until you get like a regular deal?
It's probably I'll say 15 hours of just straight calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going through people that don't contact. Most of those are no contacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to the people that I'm getting in touch with, it's pretty small. It's pretty small.
Okay. And you said before here that a lot of your deals are coming from referrals or other sellers. referral wise, so how are you finding these people that are just giving you deals? Referrals are one of my favorite because $0 in marketing, no work. I mean, I cannot talk more like how much I love referrals. So how are you finding your referrals? And can you explain what the whole referral thing is for someone who doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's networking. That's what it is. The more you network, the more people you talk to, the more people that know what you're doing, the more things are going to be thrown to you. So I talk to a lot of wholesalers, like newer guys or stuff like that. They need help on a deal, like I've done a few that are like probate stuff. They need help with it, so we'll just I'll do airships on them and sell them and JV them or whatever. Or I have sellers like the land deal I was telling you about. That was from a previous seller.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to break that one down. That
was from a previous seller. They just called me like this year randomly wanting to sell it. And then they own more property that they're going to sell to later down the line. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. And then I've had another guy that I met through Facebook that I wholesaled one of his houses, and then he brought me a house that his friend had. I had him assign it to me, and I assigned it to somebody else. So he made $15K, and I made $20K on top.
It's a great friend.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just stuff like that, just networking, meeting a lot of people. I try to meet and network as many people as I can, just because it creates more opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the networking is great here. I mean, really quickly, guys, like if you are in Houston, you need to contact Doug here. So like he's the guy to JV with. So let me pop the name on here, but right there, find this guy on Facebook if you're in Houston. Like JV with this guy, he'd be great. So the next thing I want to talk about is this land deal, because you told me about it, kind of blew my mind, and I wanted to break down a little more on here. Now, obviously, this isn't the average deal for you, or I mean, hopefully this is the average deal for you, but can you explain this land deal, like from start to finish? What is it? How much money you're making, and what are you going to do with the money?
Oh man, I don't spend any money on marketing, so I just have everything sitting there in the bank. But this deal was a referral, like from a previous seller. It was actually it was 3 different properties. I bought all 3 myself. It was 3 different properties, 2 different sellers. One seller was a previous seller we did a deal with, or I did a deal with, and then a family member owned another property right next to it. So I got in touch with the family member. I bought all 3. And then I bought all 3 for 26, and then I listed it, and it sold for 110, and it closed last Friday.
Wow. What was the net profit on that?
Net profit was about 78 grand and some change.
Oh my gosh. Wow. 78 grand. So you said you relisted it. So does that mean you actually closed on the deal?
Yeah. I bought that deal.
Bought yourself?
I bought all 3. Yeah, I bought all 3 properties.
Wow. And you just was technically wholesaling it, right?
Yeah, wholesale land pretty much. I didn't do anything to it. I paid $100 for some drone shots, and it sold. I listed it and it sold in 6 days.
Wow. And who are you listing it with? Like a regular realtor?
Yeah. A friend of mine, his wife. So it was 1%.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So 78 grand there. So you don't have a lot of marketing spend. So obviously you got to figure out what to do with the money there, but that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. I don't know where to start, man. I don't spend any marketing. So it's all just sitting there. Like I have all this money in my bank, and I have to start doing something with it.
I appreciate it. Hopefully something smart, but yeah, man. I mean, so many young wholesalers out there, like our age, 21 years old, that just go out there, they make a quick 100K in like a couple months. They go out, they buy the Lamborghini, like the Rolex, like everything, and they don't get the money back. So, that's insane, man. 78 grand at 21. Come on, guys. Like that's like, I mean, realistically, 18 months ago, before you start wholesaling, could you even imagine your life would be like this, or like you be making this money?
No, I mean, about a year and 6 months ago, I didn't even have a car.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, geez.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure it out, man. I leave a lot of money on deals. Like I just sold a flip. I made 17K off of it, and the guy flipped it and he made 90K off of it. So I leave a lot of money on the table still, because I'm still trying to figure it out.
I get it. I'm figuring out, like, I'm trying to figure out my own market. Like, I made 20K a couple weeks ago on an assignment, and the guy's going to make 60, 70 on it. I was like, I had no idea. I was like, it's whatever. But that's so crazy. So back now to the acquisitions process, because I think this is probably one of the most interesting things about your story here is you're locking up these deals like very well. And usually it takes a couple years of experience to get there, and you're kind of doing it very fast. I mean, do you think all that time you spent cold calling helped with that acquisitions to become so proficient right now?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And just going on the appointments that I was scared to go on previously. Yeah, just constantly talking. I mean, we do cold call sessions every week. So I'm just constantly going, practicing, just trying to refine and get better. Because that's a big part of it. That's how you get from 5K average deal to drop it down to 20K. It's just by being able to talk and be able to communicate well with sellers.
Definitely. I mean, the one question I have to ask, because I know there's a lot of newer people watching this, is like, Doug, like 18 months ago, were you a good talker? Was it easy just to talk to an old person and laugh it up with them and just like get deals like that? I mean,
no, man, even now, man, I'm not a big people person, so I'm really introverted. I mean, I don't go out, I don't party, I don't do anything like that. So yeah, going out talking to people I had to suck it up, because I don't like doing that. I mean, I still don't really like doing that, but I just had to suck it up because I just wanted to be successful.
wow. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, so the acquisitions part now, like, I mean, I've said it before, like if you want to speed up the acquisitions, like the sales skills role, like just start cold calling. You'll market, you'll build up your sales skills, and it'll help you out so much. That's how I was able to accelerate from 17 to 18 on my acquisition, just cold calling all day. I mean, I just don't think I could have done this. I mean, do you think you would have had the same acquisition skills if you just did SMS instead of cold calling?
No. And I talked to a lot of new guys, and they cold call, they get all the FUs, blah, blah. And they're like, man, this doesn't work, or this sucks. And they switch to text. And it's the same thing, just over the phone or just over text. You get the same responses. You're hiding. It's easier to hide. So I talk with a lot of guys that they'll stop cold calling and switch to SMS because it seems easier. But I still haven't done any deals through SMS, not one.
I've done a lot with cold calling, like time spent doing it. But I like SMS, but it's got its place, and it was a lot better back then. So, I mean, that's so crazy. I mean, the cold calling is just I cannot just promote it enough here. So, acquisitions wise here. So obviously we know how you're building this rapport. I mean, what is the whole process though? I mean, we know how you're building that rapport there, but like you walk in the door, you shake Mr. Seller's hand. What's the process from you shaking the hand to getting that amazing deal?
Man, I'd say so. I go in, I meet them, and I say, so what's going on with it? And I just let them talk. I do very, very minimal talking. Like it's easy for me as an introvert because I don't really like talking in the first place. So I'll sit there and just let them talk. And sometimes my head wanders and I don't even pay attention. But I just let them talk. And they're just going and going and going. And then it's just to the point where I get the questions I need to get and then see where they're at on price. If they're not quite there, talk with them a little bit more, get their mind off of price, and then try to bring it back in. Just don't leave until you get, like at least a verbal commitment that they're going to move forward.
Okay. And what do you get when you get some of the most dreaded questions or things on appointments, like, Doug, like, I really like you, seem like a great person, but I don't know. I don't know if I can make a decision right now. Is it okay if you come by next week, or I get some other people coming by? My buddy John here is coming by tomorrow. Like, what do you do there in that situation? Because it happens a lot. It's happening even more now.
Yeah. I mean, I like to bring that all up front before I go on the appointment. So before I go on the appointment, I like to make sure they're ready to make a decision while I'm there. I like to get a verbal commitment on the phone before I even go on the appointment. So I say, if we can agree on price, if you feel comfortable working with me, is this something you can move forward on, today? Or is there something you're ready to get put this in writing, get this moving today? If they say yes, I go on the appointment. But I don't like throwing out offers until I get a commitment like that. I don't even throw out an offer until I get a commitment like that.
Okay.
Because I want them to be committed 100% to working with me before I do anything. But yeah, if I go on the appointment like that, then I just dig in deeper as to why. Why is it? I mean, it's something. Is it price? And you're waiting for your friend? Why? Is it because of the price? Is it Is it the timeline? Is it something you don't understand? That's just pretty much how I handle it.
Okay. And I mean, what's your negotiation tactic like? Like, are you the person that goes out there, stupid low ball price, and then go from there? Or are you trying to get the seller's info, like, on their price? Like, how's that sort of working?
Yeah, I throw the deal away. That's my number one thing that I do. Is I throw the deal away. If you don't have to. I want to basically be the last option. Why don't you list it on the MLS? Why don't you rent out the property? Stuff like. Why don't you fix it up yourself and make the most money you can? Because I already coached them. I'm gonna offer something low because I have to do all the work. If you want to make the most money you can, why don't you fix it up yourself and do the most you can? I'll even get a friend to list it for you at 1%.
Wow.
Just stuff
you
like
can
that.
Offer that.
Yeah, I throw the deal away as much as possible, and then I want it to the point where they're wanting to sell to me instead of me trying to convince them to go with me. Even while we're doing the contract, I always ask. I mean, are you sure you want to? Are you sure you want to? Are you sure this is what you want to do? And then they're always yes, I'm sure.
Dude, I do the same exact. Like, it's crazy how similar the negotiation style is, because I'm always leaving. I'm always telling them to go. Like, hey,
yeah,
I
won't even make an offer. I'll just say I'm not your guy, and they're like, wait. I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work. But then to that point, I lowball. I lowball very low, but I still get deals. I mean, like, I just had a deal I locked up this past weekend. I had a buyer at 55. The guy was asking for 30. I came in. I already knew what I could sell it at. I offered 12, and we settled at 15.
Oh.
And so that's a 35, 40K assignment fee.
Jeez, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's get some questions from the audience here, and let's see what we got. So got some people saying, what's up? Let's go. Some mind blown here. Mark asks here, what service do you use for cold calling? They're using Call Tools.
I'm using my cell phone.
Okay.
And Sideline.
Okay, what's Sideline?
It's just like a Google Voice. Yeah, I don't use Mojo or anything. I hand dial.
But you are masking that phone number with like a different
number. Or like a Google Voice. That's what Sideline is. It's just a different number.
Perfect. All right. And then such inspirations. Johnny says, thank you for doing the streams. Thank you. Got some motivation on here. Some of these might be some repeat questions, but it's a good refresher real quick. So how are you getting the majority of your leads?
Driving for dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. We've talked. I'm trying to scale that. But that's where majority is going.
Awesome here. And Sergio asks, do you use RVMs or SMS?
No, never. I'm doing some SMS. I'm doing some SMS for lease options, like lease option wholesaling. That's
Good
pretty
stuff.
much it. Yeah. I have one under contract right now. 18 grand.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Is there a reason why you're not going to keep that one?
That's what do you mean?
Or like sandwiching it at all?
Oh, you can't do that in Texas.
Oh shoot. Really?
Yeah. You can't do a sandwich now. So I have
Man,
to wholesale it. Yeah, I know.
Okay. And so Garrett wants to know if you used any SMS. I mean, you're not doing that. So
I have batch SMS.
sweet. Tony says, how can you tell that a seller is fishing?
It's just by their tone. I mean, you always want to ask them if they're ready to make a commitment. If they're not ready to make a commitment, why? Oh, because I have these other guys coming. Or I'll ask straight up. I mean, do you have anybody else looking at the property? I mean, if you do, I like to be the last guy, because I'll try to outbid the other people, or say, hey, all these offers you got, I mean, are these serious offers? Do they have earnest money? Because now that I have cash, I can put down earnest money or stuff.
Wow.
But it's just by their tone, pretty much. Is if they're not ready to make a commitment, why not? Like, what's stopping you? Are you fishing for offer? Are you trying to win the lottery? I mean, depending on the seller, I'll ask that. Just, are you trying to win the lottery? Because it's not going to make it, because if so, it's not going to work for me. I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one.
Yeah,
looking for the lottery. Ryan says that's my bro Douglas. Sweet. Graham says, way to go here. Let's see. Oops. Wrong one. All right. Mark says, how big are the lists that you're calling, and where do you pull them from?
I mean, it varies. I mean, I don't pull a big list, because I like to be able to keep track of, because especially if I'm hand dialing, I can't do a big list like that. So maybe it'll be like 200 at a time. And I'll just pull them from PropStream. Nothing special.
Yeah. Let's see. Bobby says, I'm wholesaling in Houston. Sweet. He's 24. I'm jealous. Oh my gosh. Donna wanted to know, in Houston, where are you finding deals that cheap?
Just all over the place. They're everywhere. I mean, that land that I got was Conroe. I got some other properties like south of Houston. They're all over. I mean, I've gotten super low deals in Houston too. But we did one where I made like 24 grand assignment fee. Actually, I was supposed to make like 40K, but I ended up having to pay the taxes for the seller to get the deal done.
Oh, so
it dropped it down to 23, and then the person I sold it to is flipping it for like 150.
Oh,
and so that's like the heart of Houston. That's downtown Houston.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're all over the place. Nowhere special. I'm just trying to stay consistent.
Okay. And have you done any double closings?
No. I mean, I've just bought them and sold them, but no double closings.
All righty. And Iron Horse here actually has this is a pretty good question. This is something that I had when I started out, and I didn't understand it until I started getting a bunch of other deals. How do you get people with accepting low ball price? Do they go through initial shock?
It depends how they're gonna go. I mean, if you call a random seller up, right, and they don't know who you are, and you just say, hey, I want to buy your home for 50K and it's worth 100, they're gonna hang up on you. You need to set expectations and coach them of what's coming at the end of the call, or if you go on an appointment. They need to understand. And most sellers they'll be honest. Hey, I know you have to make money. I know this house needs a lot of work. Most sellers aren't like crazy like that. Like, they think the house is worth a crazy amount. So it's really about just building rapport. I mean, once you build rapport, you can say anything to them.
Yeah.
So it's mainly about building rapport. So getting why they're selling it in the first place, why they won't why they don't list it with a realtor. Because if they don't want a lowball offer, why not just list with a realtor? Stuff like that. Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they just renting it out? Why aren't they fixing it up themselves and selling it? Why aren't they cleaning up the land and building a property on it, and selling it for $300K? Stuff like that. You have to get that out the way. That way it's coaching them to, hey, if I don't want to do all these things, the last option is to sell it at a discount. So
Definitely.
You just have to coach them and build rapport. And then once you build enough rapport, you can say anything to them.
I'm telling you, yeah, you get the right rapport and it's pretty easy. So I agree with you. I mean, the shock thing, and to get the rapport, it's fine.
Yeah.
So you ask here, what is a sandwich?
Something you eat.
It's something you eat, but kind of like here in Florida, where it's basically we can get a creative finance deal, and then we can have someone who will do the terms to that. So more or less, if I agree to 5,000 down, 500 a month, and then the end price is 100K, I could find someone to do it for 7,000, 750 a month, and like 120, and then you make a spread off of that. So Texas, it's illegal, correct?
Yeah, you can't do it here.
Oh man, it kills me, breaks my heart. But Garrett says, I have a pricing call tonight with a lead for a vacant lot appraised for $680,000. Where should my starting offer be at? The land is heavily forested. What's your opinion, Doug?
I mean, if a cash buyer is willing to buy it, if you have to figure out appraisal's fine and all, but you have to figure out if you're going to wholesale it, properties like those, they're good to buy them and then throw them on MLS. But you might have to wait a while to find the right buyer. But if you want to sell it and wholesale it, you're going to have to do it pretty quickly. So you have to find a cash buyer, a developer, somebody that's going to buy the land. And I would say for properties like that, I would say the best thing to do is reverse engineer and find a buyer first, get a feel of what they're looking for in the area. That way you know exactly what you can offer and you have confidence there as far as if you need to submit earnest money, you can have the buyer do it on your stuff like that. But if a cash buyer is willing to buy at 680, then you just have to get it under 680. So I would reverse engineer and look for a buyer first, see exactly where they would want a property like that at.
It's great advice. I mean, that $70,000 land deal you did, I mean, how did you figure out, because obviously you're not going out there blind, just buying random lots of land for what you don't even know the price. Yeah. Like, how did you do the research to figure out you could make that spread?
So that one was actually pretty interesting. I didn't plan for it to be that much. What I kind of reverse engineered it. I was looking at sold comparables just in the area, and it was kind of in this rough estimate of like maybe 15 grand a piece, like a rough estimate. Texas is difficult because it's a non-disclosure, so there's not a lot of comps. So that's what I kind of did, and then I reverse engineered it in a way where I kind of sent it out to a friend of mine. They said they had a buyer at 45 for all three. So I got under contract at 26, and then I started doing my own marketing, and I was getting offers at 75. I was getting offers at like 65, 75. So I was like, okay, I bet if I can take this retail and sell them even individually to like people that want to build on the houses, I could probably make way more. So that's what I did. I decided to close on it because it was so cheap and just see what happens on the market. But that's what I did. I just got a feel of what the market was. I sent it out to somebody to see kind of just a rough estimate where a cash buyer would want to buy it at. And then I felt confident enough to get under contract, and I started doing my own marketing, and I started seeing what other people what it was really worth.
I mean, that's the best arbitrage of all.
Yeah,
that's killer. I mean, do you have any other tips for like if you're in a non-disclosure state on finding comps?
Man, it's pretty tough. I look at various different platforms because they're all different. Like Zillow would have some that Redfin doesn't have, and HAR would have some that like 8hard.com would have some that aren't on any of the sites. So I look at each platform, kind of run numbers on each. I kind of get an estimate on each platform, and then I'll go on PropStream and look at their comps and go in more depth on houses. That's pretty much how I've had to do it. Is just looking at various different platforms, even ask some people for MLS access, stuff like that. Yeah, but it's pretty tough.
Yeah. So pretty standard here. So you're using a cell phone with the sidecar there.
Oh yeah.
People are just confused here. They're like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This hand dial. I pay for batch, but I've never used it. I've paid for like 6 months. I've never used it.
Oh my gosh. Mr. Cava says, how do you get through a stubborn seller?
Stubborn how? I guess. I mean, stubborn on they don't want to give you any information.
I would say that. Or like they're just very, I don't know, not even like built like, hey, how's your day today? It's good. How much do you want to sell? How much do you want to buy this property for? Like, that's what I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, it's hard. You really have to understand personality types. Like if you called me about a property, that's how I would answer.
Yeah.
How do you want to sell it? And I'm really not a motivated seller in the first place, unless you made a crazy offer. But I talk to them. If they want to get straight to the point, I'll talk to you straight to the point. I don't want to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. Let's get straight to the point. If you can't open up and tell me some information about the property, then how do you expect me to buy it? You punch them right in the mouth. Stubborn sellers like that are straight to the point. You have to be super direct with them and straight to the point. Because if you're all these other wholesalers that are like, oh, try to go through questions with them, these guys, they get annoyed and they hang up. They don't want to go through that. They want somebody just like them who's straight to the point. Yep. So however the seller is, you need to match exactly how they are. That gives you the best chance of getting a deal.
Be a chameleon. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What are the personality types that you look for in the sellers? Like, how many have you boxed for your own business? Like looking at different sellers.
I mean, all of them pretty much. Drivers, like the social conscience, the talkative ones that tell you everything, and then the analytical ones. Yeah, pretty much all of them. I've lost a deal with each one, and I was able to. An analytical guy, like an example, I had one deal where I sent like a 1-page contract to, right? And this guy, he's smart. He owns property. He owns like $1 million property, and this was like an easy $15K deal. And I lost the deal over another investor, and he actually liked me more because the contract that the other investor used, it was the Trek contract. It was like the whole 13 pages.
Yeah.
And that's what he liked because he's an analytical guy. So he went through each page and it covered the most protection. If I would have sent the same contract, I would have got that deal. But since I didn't realize what kind of seller he was, I sent a 1-pager and I lost the deal. But same thing going to like an older seller. You don't want to send an older seller 13 pages because you're going to scare them. You want it to be short and sweet, 1 page. Look, this is what we're agreeing to. It makes them feel comfortable. You need to understand your seller, and you need to understand what kind of personality type they are. Because if you don't do everything according to that personality type, you're going to lose the deal to somebody who understands the personality types. I
agree. I'm telling you, these are important lessons to have, though. They'll make more money than what you'll lose. What CRM are you using? If you're going to answer that again. Podio. Me too. Are all of your deals local or virtual?
They're all local, but I do like the lots in the properties that I bought that we're talking about. I never even went to go look at them. I'll do some virtual in my market. Like I don't go on the appointments, or I'll just lock it up over the phone and sell it over the phone. But everything's local. It's all Houston area. I haven't done a deal anywhere else.
Okay. Let's see. You like driving for dollars. My preference would be virtual. If I get something under contract in another state, should I fly out to get a deal done, or can I break everything down virtually? You don't do a lot of virtual deals then, right?
Not in other states, but
Yeah.
I would say if you get under contract virtually, you don't need to be able to sell it. You don't need to fly down there to sell it.
Yeah.
The hard part would be getting it under contract virtually. If you can get things under contract virtually, you're good. All you need is boots on the ground, another wholesaler or something, and you can find that easily.
Great here. And then Gian says, while cold calling, do you ever get brush offs initially? If so, how do you get past them?
Oh yeah, I just had a good lead the other day. Actually, a cash buyer that I worked with sent it to me to get in touch with the owner. So I called them, and they didn't want to sell the property. They said, no, I'll never sell it. And they were getting ready to hang up, and I asked the magic question is, do you have any other properties you want to sell? And they had a $700,000 property that they're wanting to sell.
Woo!
So I'm working on that one.
Nice.
So that's a question that I'll ask if they shut you down.
Wow. And then Doug, in your past 18 months, how many times have you gone to see a seller and they said, wow, you're way younger than I thought over the phone?
It's I don't know. It's getting, I haven't had it in a while.
Oh my gosh.
But
had so many starting out, so many.
Yeah, I've had a lot too. I mean, a lot of people, they say I sound older over the phone. When they see me, they like, oh, how old are you? How'd you get started?
And you tell them the truth, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got into it. I don't get into it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be upfront with the sellers. Like I've had sellers ask me when I was 19, how old are you? I said 19. They still got the deal. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, no, I tell them how old I am. They're like, what?
Lato says, when did you decide you've called through a list enough?
Oh, well, actually, I've never actually like recycled a list to where I'm calling it. I'm still, man, trying to get things figured out. I haven't had to do that, but I would just say if you're just getting, you don't want to be calling the same list everybody else is calling, because you're going to get the same answers everybody else is getting. So I would say, I mean, that's once your contact rate is super low, I would say that list has pretty much already been hammered through so many times.
Agreed here. Sergio wants a role play for different scenarios. I don't think we're going to a 4-hour role play here, but really quickly, can you give me your pitch really quick on the cold calling, and like how do you set up the appointment? Like not a role play wise, but like what's the pitch in the beginning, and how do you set it up to call them back or get the appointment? Another question is like, do you set the appointment right there on the initial call?
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
If I set a phone appointment, another callback. I do 2 calls, either if I'm doing virtual or appointment. My first call is building rapport, trying to get time frame, motivation, price if I can, and just all that stuff in the first call, initial call, get them to like me. And I say, okay, let me look at the property and I'll call you. Can I call you whenever? And I'll set the appointment. And then my second call is when I try to get the deal locked up, either virtually or set the appointment. You know, if they're in the same ballpark of price and they're ready to sign a contract.
Perfect. And any book recommendations?
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is
it's a good one.
Number one. But then I'm also reading or listening to Traction and the EOS.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
No.
Mark wants to know really quick, is this a one-man operation you got going, or do you have a small team?
It's all me.
Perfect. Tianda asked here, how do you break down ARV and comps? I think we went over that a little. You're in a non-disclosure state, so it's a little different for him.
Yeah.
Okay. And last question here from Jacoby is, how do we get in contact with you? Hopefully, if they have a deal they want to send over your way.
Yeah, Facebook's the best way. That's all I have. Yeah, nothing. I don't know if I could put down my phone number, but
I probably wouldn't. I would have you vet someone because there's a lot of people watching this. And guys, like we just hit 8,000 subscribers today. So first of all, thank you guys for watching this. This is absolutely amazing. But I'd be careful putting your phone number on this one. But Doug's a certified beast. I love it. I love it. Man. So my last two questions for you here, Doug, is first of all, what is your follow-up looking like? And are you getting a lot of deals off a follow-up? And how are you using Podio with your follow-ups?
Basically just all I use Podio for is to track when to follow up. That's it. Or I'll throw it on my Google Calendar, or they'll sync together. It just gives me the general synopsis of what the sellers, what their deal is, whatever, and then when to contact them again. But I mean, my follow-up is, if I don't get in touch with the seller, I show up to their door. I get to their door, I get in their face, and I don't leave until I get what I was looking for. So that's how I follow up. If they don't answer the phone after multiple times, I show up at their door.
That is the mindset you need. And that's the mindset that have gotten me so many deals. I've had follow-ups like that, and they were always my best deals.
Yeah.
So yes, don't be creepy. But
I don't like waiting around. I like to hunt, like you say.
I like fishing. I say fishing because hunting seems too aggressive, but what Doug was explaining there is I love cold calling. The way I like it is because I don't like to sit around and just send direct mail out and hope I pray I get a deal. Like I want to go out there and get it.
Yeah.
Like the Amazon things, like you want it to come to you or you want to go get it. I'd rather get it. It's quicker, it's faster, and it's a lot more predictable. So that's what I explained. I call it fish.
That's all I want. All I want, and I tell sellers this all the time, all I want is a yes or no. So I know not to bother you again, or that we can do business, but maybe something's in the way, and try to get that out the way. But that's all I want. I just want a yes or no. I hate when they don't answer your phone or anything like that. I hate it so much I'll show up at your door to get a yes or no. And usually it's a yes. They just scared and they need a little push.
Definitely. So the last question I have here is, this is the Bags to Riches podcast. So I started out $300 at 17 years old, and I asked every single guest this. So Doug, if you had $300, what would you do to become the next Doug?
The same thing I do right now. That's what I don't use any of my marketing calls, and it's just being proactive, looking for opportunity, and just constantly walk for dollars, whatever, do virtual drawing for dollars. And if you find a property, get a free ride from Uber and they'll show up at their house.
Definitely.
Stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I do right now, and that's how I don't have any marketing costs.
Perfect. And so if someone needs a hold of you, they just go to Doug Aguilar on Facebook.
Yeah, Douglas Aguilar. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Douglas Aguilar.
Douglas Aguilar there. So, okay. Message him, send me your deals. He'll get them sold. Great dude. So I appreciate you coming on here. Again, is there any parting thoughts you have for the guests before we sign off today? For the audience.
I mean, it's really that it's possible, and it's a simple business. You just have to stay consistent and be proactive.
Perfect, Doug. Yeah. Thanks. I really appreciate it, guys.
No gurus.
No gurus, man. I'm telling you, no gurus in this place. That's it. So that's it, guys. So yes, we hit 8,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. This is our 8,000 subscriber special. I'm getting some comments here. What's his Instagram? I don't think he has an Instagram, right? No Instagram there. But 8,000. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want, every Friday we do a Zoom. Doug's sometimes on those things.
Always.
Wholesaling Houses for Real Facebook group. That is my mastermind. That is my free course. No gurus, no selling, nothing like that. So I really appreciate it, guys. Quick plugs here really quick before we sign off here. If you guys want the free cold calling script, just go to www.flipwithrick.com/cold call. If you want the contract, go to www.flipwithrick.com/free wholesaling contract. The one other actually really quick question for you, Doug, is you don't have to use the TREC contract in Texas, right?
No. I use I still use a one pager that I got from YouTube when I was first starting out. And I still do that. Sometimes I use 2 purchase agreements, and it depends what title company. Like, I build a relationship with my title company, so I can just send whatever to them, and they'll do it how I want them to do it.
Perfect. Doug, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much.